Hello world, from our sacred space to yours.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations.
This episode is called An Empath.
A Secret Superpower.
That was all Jen. Pretty cool name.
That was pretty cool.
We definitely believe being an empath is a secret superpower. If you are not familiar with what being an empath is or have never heard of the term before, we give you a little bit of a background.
Mm-hmm. So there's several different types of empaths. I'm currently reading a wonderful book called The Empath Survival Guide.
Ooh.
I should keep my book covers on. The yellow's really cute. This has offered a lot of insight. I'm not done reading it, but I recommend it because it does give some more information on the different types of empaths. So from my memory, there's a physical empath, there's emotional empath, and then it breaks it down into further information such as empaths for animals, for plants, and nature, etc., etc. So Heather and I talk about like what type of empath we think we are sometimes, and I find that we have a similarity where we think that, you know, we're both emotional empaths.
Yes.
We identify with that, and if you get this book, it'll actually give you a little bit of an assessment, and you can find out what type of empath you are. But that's kind of what we identify with.
Yeah, no, that's great. An emotional empath, I guess, is somebody who feels energies in certain surroundings or situations. You might feel anxious, nervous, or you really are kind of taking on the other person's fears, illness, maybe even, or more the physical ailments of it. So it really is a sponge for other people's feelings, emotions, and anxieties and fears and so on. So it could be a little confusing at times if you are experiencing something that might come out of the blue, like we talked about last week about being in the funk, that maybe doesn't resonate with you, and it might very well not be yours at all. A little bit about my childhood, I guess, and understanding now what an empath is. It would have made so much sense when I was growing up. Oh my goodness. I was actually raised an only child. Now I have two brothers, but for 14 years I was an only child. So a lot of time for introspection and self-reflection, but being in certain situations, I always have that gnawing feeling of, this is weird. Like I talked about before. I don't understand why I'm feeling like this, why I didn't want to go to certain places, why I didn't want to be with certain people or around certain people. And it was because I was already absorbing their energies and the emotions associated. Because we are physical beings, yes, but like we said before, there are so many metaphysical aspects to the human being that we can't see, touch, understand. And energy is a very real thing. We emit an aura, if you'd like to call it, if you feel comfortable with that. So everybody's energy or aura is radiating something different. So as a child, I was already able to distinguish, this feels good, this feels bad, this situation I'm aligned with, this one I'm not. So if that resonates with you and you have kids that maybe feel that way, really listen to what's going on for them. If they're saying, you know, I don't want to go there, or really try to get to the root of it, because sometimes they're absorbing something that you're not able to pick up on.
Absolutely.
Especially as we get older, we kind of lose that connection with source and with self, and we forget, you know, the roots of where we come from, and energetically we're all connected. So being an empath is it's a big job, but somebody's got to do it.
Exactly. It's a big responsibility.
I think so.
I can relate too. Growing up, I found myself not wanting to take the bus. Even till this day, I have a hard time taking the bus. And I question myself, like, what is it? Is it because it's like packed like a sardine can, as people say? Like, you know, living in a busy city, it's like that. But really, when you take a moment and reflect on it, well, I did, and I realized that I felt like I was internalizing other people's emotions. Do you ever like turn to someone randomly and just say, "Hey, how are you?" I have, and it just it just turns out that they've had a rough day or something, and it's happened so many times throughout the years. I can't even tell you. Even with family and friends, I'll just start talking just because I feel really compelled to speak to them, and then they start opening up, and then I just learned so many things that I didn't know, and it's usually like something negative, unfortunately. But we can also feel very elated and very happy for other people too. We can certainly feel that to the point of crying, of excitement for another person.
Oh my gosh, I cry all the time.
Yeah, same here. And oftentimes, being an empath and the feelings that comes with it can be confused for something else. Where, like for me, I do have anxiety, and sometimes I try to find the line between what is anxiety, what is my anxiety, and what's actually me picking up on someone else's maybe even anxiety or fears or feelings. So it's a very interesting thing to learn. I do obviously take doctor's orders if, and if I need to do any treatments and therapies, I respect all medical practitioners. But I think like if you resonate with being an empath, maybe do some of your own research and see how you can find ways of dealing and shielding yourself, because it is very important to set boundaries and know how to deal with the emotions that we think are our own, but many times are not.
Absolutely. I know it sounds a little far-fetched almost sometimes, like we're absorbing someone else's energy. Like, how could that be? But it's almost like you were an open vessel, and it's coming in because you're so just easily touched by it or affected by it.
Absolutely.
I know I know many people can watch the news and cry if, something is going on and you do not know this person at all, but something comes over you and you can't hold back the tears. I remember watching a documentary about a boy who fell, unfortunately, victim to in his own hands and committed suicide, and I could not stay in the room. I felt like I knew him. I felt like I walked his walk and I was with him. And why we're saying being an empath is a superpower is because what can happen on the other side. We're talking about absorbing these energies and feelings, but it's really the breeding grounds for compassion.
Absolutely. Took the words right out of
yeah. For the most ultimate unconditional love and compassion for humanity, for plants, for animals, for the planet, for just every person you meet and touch. So it can sound a little overwhelming and scary at times and maybe hard to understand. But like Jenny said, if you want to learn more about it, definitely do your own research. But we want to talk about the superhero kind of aspect or superpower side of what this means to be an empath.
Yeah, we definitely are the healers of the world. And I think that it is a very special gift that we have. And, just being able to sense someone else's vibrations and energy, we can open up and ask, just like I said, just ask how the person's day is going. And you could potentially be changing their entire day and life. There's this one story that's really sticking out to mind right now. I was walking along Queen Street, Toronto, and there was this young girl who was sitting on the side of the road. I'll never forget her. She had the most beautiful blue eyes. And, we do see a lot of homeless youth. We do see a lot of homeless people in the city. But there was something about this girl that was really intriguing, and there's something told me to talk to this girl. So this was years ago, by the way. And I remember just I walked by her, I stopped, and I said to myself, I have to speak to this girl. So I sat beside her, and we were probably around the same age at the time. And I just said, hey, what's your name? And she gave me her name. I believe her name was Anne or Anna. It's in one of my journals. And we were having a simple small talk type of conversation, but with time, things like she's just started to open up and talk about how hard it's been for her to be on the streets, and she was actually thinking of that day of committing suicide, and just talking about it as you can see, is an emotional thing, and that's what it means to be an empath, is knowing and feeling that imprint of that person and knowing the pain that they went through. So I feel so grateful that I had the intuition to speak to her, because I actually offered her a lunch and I gave her some information on where she could go. And I don't know what the result is. I did look for her days after that, in that day, but she seemed happier. She seemed like she had a little bit of hope, and I'm just hoping that she did, you know, continue on with her life. But it's interesting how you can just pick up that vibration from just passing by someone. You just know that you have to speak to them. So if you ever feel that way, it's because you are an empath. You can feel what other people could be going through and what they're feeling. Absolutely. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going on a rant, but there's just one more thing. Many times I feel like, even at work or in a crowded place, if you feel overwhelmed, it's because you're an empath. Or if you walked into a room and you're like, you don't know where it's coming from sometimes, what person exactly, but something's off. Later on, you'll learn that there's someone around you who is, you know, having a hard time. Yeah. But it is a superpower, because look, you know, if I didn't speak to Anne or Anna, who would have known what have happened to her that day? So we do have this gift, and we should honor it and absolutely inspire other people to do research for themselves as well, and see if you're an empath and change the world.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure everyone can feel it. And that's the beauty of it. That is the magic. That is the superpower behind being an empath, and just being able to connect with people on such a deeper level and go feel their pain and go through it with them, and be that conduit for hope, for inspiration, for a miracle or magic to occur in their own lives. For me, I guess this kind of led me to my service work and figuring out that I wanted to help people. And I did a lot of great program work with a great not-for-profit for 4 years, and I was able to feed so many people in the streets. I was able to visit so many shelters and run youth programs and do all this incredible work, and it felt like people just flocked to me. You know, they were able to talk to me. They opened up right away. They wanted to hug me. I wanted to hug them. They wanted to hold my hand and touch me, and there was no separation. I just felt like this was my work. This is what I had to come here to do. This is the gift that was given to me, and in turn I have to give 100-fold. Absolutely. So it was really it's been such an incredible path and journey for me so far, and just being able to have that connection with people that otherwise we would just pass on the streets. And I know there's so many people that respect and appreciate that level of compassion, and they can almost feel the genuineness of it, and know that it's coming from your heart and not because of a paycheck or because of anything else, but you're there for each other. And I think ultimately our goal and what we really wish is we can, you know, be a ripple in a larger mass effect of people, you know, waking up to their own superpowers, because we all have something, you know, to give and to share. Absolutely. And in that, we're able to create this world and heal this world in the vision and in the light and love that we all so much desire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important, you know, when you do your research and you do find that you can identify with an empath, to find coping mechanisms to protect yourself too, because it can be very, it could be draining, and it could make you feel very depleted. So it's important to be able to shield yourself with an imaginary bubble that's protected by love and light, and be able to have a little bit of that, I don't want to say separation, but just a protection for yourself. Yeah. And also, always getting back into nature is always a good way to get grounded. I know we say this in every video, but it's true. So get yourself in nature as well to protect yourself from the energies of the world. Absolutely.
Yeah, it can be really heavy sometimes, and I think those are great ways to cope, and also maybe to go deeper into what's really going on, and turn that energy, and whatever it is, however you call it, negative or positive, into a driving force to act and to do something.
Exactly.
And to serve and support and give your love and give your light. Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
It's certainly a little secret superpower that we recommend you looking into.
Definitely. It's changed our lives.
Absolutely.
And we're not even sure how many lives we were able to touch with it, but it's such an honor to be able to work with our hearts and share this gift and share the love with people that otherwise we wouldn't have known.
Absolutely. The world needs it.
The world needs it, and we're so happy to be able to share that with you. So we hope we're able to spark some inspiration in you, and we hope that you are always protected, always surrounded by white lights, with so much love, and you just go out into the world and give it your best and be the best version of you ever.
Absolutely. And
Do
there
you
is
read?
from this beautiful book that I recommended. Once again, it's called The Empath's Survival Guide by Judith Orloff. There's a lovely affirmation in here that I read and thought of all of you. So this is how it is.
Let's do it.
I vow to honor my sensitivities and treat myself lovingly as I explore what it means to be an empath and embrace my gifts. I will appreciate myself every day. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Conscious Conversations.
Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your love and support. So again, from our sacred space to yours, with love and light always. Namaste. So necessary. Okay, it's coming. Go.
It's as simple as path. We are super fast.